I made these big jack stands a couple of years ago, mostly for jacking up our big sprayer. We gotta change the tires on it twice a year, and we used to stack a whole bunch of blocks, which is really sketchy. So this was a big improvement over that, but there's still a couple of things that I want to change on this. My biggest problem is the bottle jack. It just doesn't extend far enough to take out all the travel and the suspension of the sprayer, and so you can't quite get the wheel off the ground. There are a couple comments in the last video from people saying they built similar jack stands, but they used the landing gear off an old truck bed as the jack mechanism. They just wind it up and down. I was like, oh my god, that's such a better idea than what I did with this bottle jack. Like, it's so good of an idea that I think I'm gonna claim it as my own and start this video over. So I was driving by the other day and I just happened to see the old trailer that we got parked here and the landing gear on it. And I had the idea that they'd be perfect for the old jack stands that I built a while ago. I think that'll hold it. We decommissioned this trailer a couple of years ago. The frame has some pretty good cracks in it, and the metal's just not in good shape, so we figured it was time. I think it's destined for the scrapyard. Man, the weather's changing on me. I think it's gonna rain, I better hurry. Got everything unbolted. I'm really gonna try not to go under there now that the jacks are unbolted. I don't trust my barrel set up too much up there. Okay, let's get back to the barn and see if this idea of mine is gonna work. Starting to feel some raindrops. Timed that perfect. I'm gonna start cutting off some of the extra brackets that I don't need now to get it down to just the base jack. Better get this plastic cap out of there first before I melt it though. Fire in the barn. Whew. Some old grease in there. One little downside I'm going to have with these jacks is that only one of them is going to have the gear reduction in it. I think the other one will still be useful, but I probably just won't be able to lift as much with it. A good heavy-duty scraper is a tool that I'm constantly reaching for. It's so handy for lots of different things. It's something you don't really realize you need until you have one. I was gonna torch the sides of the mounting plate off, but I think it would melt the plastic seals on the shaft, so I think it better just play it safe and use the angle grinder. And take it over and get a nice square cut on the end here in the bandsaw. Working on figuring out a base now, and I think the form factor of the old jacks worked really well. I'm gonna keep it the same height as that one is, which means you gotta extend the bottom of the tube down to the base plate, and then I'll put some gussets on it. Pretty similar to this one, I think. This is a weird size of tubing. It's 4.5 inches square. It might be metric, I'm wondering. But I'm gonna have to make that myself. Definitely not gonna have anything that matches that. Okay, I got my files all ready to cut some things out on the CNC table for the jack stands. But first, I want to talk about the sponsor of this video, which is Bluetti. This is the FridgePower, and it'll provide backup battery power for all your electronic devices, but it's specifically designed for your refrigerator. It's really thin, it's only 3 inches wide, and it sits on top of your fridge, or even better, it'll mount directly to the wall behind your fridge, so it's out of sight and out of mind. We lose power out here on the farm often enough that something like this I think really makes a lot of sense. When there's loss of power, the FridgePower switches over in 10 milliseconds, which is quick enough that your fridge doesn't even notice it and continues running. I haven't been behind this fridge in a while. Could be a little gnarly. The base system stores just over 2,000 watt hours, and if you want, you can expand it up to 8,000 watt hours. That's enough to keep a normal refrigerator running for up to 4 days. 2-bowl installation, piece of cake. The batteries in the FridgePower are rated for up to 4,000 charge cycles. So this thing's really designed to last a long time, roughly 10 years of regular use. The FridgePower plugs into the wall, and then the freezer plugs into it. And it's quiet too, around 30 decibels, so you're not listening to fans running all day. One little downside to putting the power station behind the fridge is that you can't see the little display on it. You don't know how much battery's left or if it's on or off. But Bluetti thought of that. They have this little auxiliary display, a magnet, it sticks right in your fridge there, and shows all the information right there. And then also the Bluetti app works really well for getting all the information as well. Let's test it. Breaker's off, didn't miss a beat. And then when the power comes back on, it switches back over to the regular power and starts recharging. There's a link in the description if you want to learn more, and there's a promo code to get a discount. So usually I show the unit to close out an ad read, but the FridgePower is behind my fridge where it's gonna stay. I think it's gonna be really handy. So you're stuck looking at the box. But thanks, Bluetti. It's a bespoke, handcrafted, custom 4.5 inch square piece tubing. Fully organic. I know this bottom plate's gonna want to cup when I weld on it, so I'm clamping down all 4 corners to hopefully help with that a little bit. Corner gussets are going on. Still not quite sure what I'm gonna do to get around this little gearbox on that one, but knock out these easy ones first at least, and then I'll figure that out later. Yeah, that should work. I wasn't gonna be able to make this one work, because that's a notch out too much. So I just cut another one that's shorter. Little asymmetry never hurt anybody, right? The wheels on the old Jackstand worked really well. These things are really heavy, so you want to have some good wheels on them. And I'm just going to make them the same. Got some brackets here, and these are the new set of wheels. They're hand truck wheels, airless, and they hold up pretty good. I don't have long enough bolts, I gotta weld 2 of them together here. Okay, just a couple things I have to finish up on these. I went back and forth a ton on whether I should leave the handle on it or not, and I don't think I'm going to. I just don't think I'd ever use it with the handle. I think I'm gonna always use the big impact driver. I'll spit it on there and I'll spin it up and down real fast and just be 10 times easier and quicker. So I got these big grade 8 nuts here. I think I'll weld 2 of them together to give them a little bit more of a bite, and then I'll weld them on the shaft. And the downside is always have to have the impact, but I think I'm gonna be grabbing it anyways. Just be so easy to spin it up and down with that. These are 2-speed. With it pressed in like this, it's a lot slower and geared way down so you can lift more. And if you pull it out, it locks in a higher speed. That's like for when you get the weight off it and you just want it to go up or down. But I think I can cut a bunch of this off. I don't need that much of a shaft sticking out. Got to bore out the one for the other side. It is a little bit bigger of a shaft. Got to make sure to be awake when you're running with the 1-inch drill bit. These things catch so easy. Just like that. Wasn't too bad. Thought I might as well put one on both sides on this one, so the shaft goes clear through. Just gotta remember that one's gonna be backwards from the other side. Should probably mark it somehow. First test. I gotta weld this top plate on now, and I cut these holes in the top plate so I can weld it from the top and weld onto the inside of this tubing here. I really don't want to weld it on the outside because that weld seam would get jammed as the inner piece tubing comes down into this, where the two pieces meet. I want to keep it nice and clean like that. Last thing to do is weld a handle onto it. I use this handle all the time for pushing it around. So I want to make sure these ones have them too. All right, that's the last of the welding. I'm gonna get them cleaned up and then give them a coat of paint. The last thing I want to do is to glue a rubber mat on the bottom of the stands. They sit a lot nicer on the concrete when they have a little bit of rubber between them. I wasn't sure the best adhesive for this. I'm gonna give this contact cement a try. Okay, I gave it about 10 minutes. It's getting pretty tacky, so I think it's ready. I got one shot at this. There's one. There's two. Okay, let's go try them. We run these big flotation tires in the winter when the ground's soft and wet, and then about this time of year we switch over to the skinny tires, which run over less crop and you can fit up the rows. All right, let's see if it's gonna lift it. Yeah, for that, that's a lot better.